Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So earlier today I posted a quick comparison videos about these two champions being reworked. If you're still interested or haven't seen them yet, I will leave the links in the video description below, where I basically did a pre-buff fight with Realm of Legends Winter Soldier and then a post-buff fight against Realm of Legends Winter Soldier to kind of compare the hit counts and the playstyle, so on and so forth. So you guys are more than welcome to check those out. The video links will be in the description below here. But now let's actually have a conversation, or more so kind of like my thoughts about these buffs and what do I think basically about each of the two champions that recently got buffed. In case you did not know, it's Colossus and Old Man Logan. They have finally been actually reworked about half a year later, but nonetheless here we are. And so we're gonna start off with Colossus, who I think is by far the better of two reworks, and I do generally see Colossus having some sort of use as even towards kind of like the end game, mainly because of kind of 2-3 simple reasons. Number one, it is in fact really easy to play him. Parry, heavy, level 2, that's all you do pretty much, and it's a very simple game plan. There's nothing confusing about it. It will in fact produce quite a lot of damage output, plus he's tanky, so there we go. Reason number one, he's kind of simple to play with. You don't have any secret missions or very kind of complicated game mechanics and no super skill reliant playstyle. It's a very simple playstyle for him. I do like it. You do feel that the fight is very basic, simple, easy to carry on. There is nothing extraordinary happening, and you do not feel the pressure of being forced to be aggressive or do certain things in certain time. So the playstyle is good for overall kind of usability and ease of play, if you will. So he's definitely a champion that the vast majority of the people will simply be able to pick up, go ahead and play. Second reason, the immunities. Incinerate and Cold Jump immunities still are not all that common, and it's perfectly feasible that quite a few people will not have like solid or high rank immune champions for these immunities in particular, or maybe not enough, simply because quite often you need more than one option. And yeah, so bleed immune, incinerate immune, cold jump immune, fantastic combination. Triple immunity, especially the latter two becoming more and more kind of like useful, with nodes like freezer burn appearing and AQ maps having incinerate and stuff like that. So yeah, that is there. That is definitely useful. Armor break immunity as well is quite awesome to have. Facing Havocs, facing Vision Arcus, that kind of stuff. Crumbled armor is a node that we see more and more up there. And yeah, so I do quite like his immunities and his bulkiness and his tankiness and ability to take a punch as well. And moving on, the third good thing about him is obviously damage. Damage is quite substantial, and damage is up there towards kind of like the best. Not the best, but because the playstyle is quite slow, his damage appears to be higher than it actually is, because once again it's masked against the playstyle of a lot of heavy attacks and not actually carrying out like full combos too often, and not having any multi-hit special attacks. Still, the damage is good. The damage is definitely up there. It will serve its purpose, and yeah, so overall I do believe that this was a fairly successful rework, nothing too overpowered. The only kind of worry that I have currently is that he might be potentially extremely annoying to face off against on certain nodes. However, due to the simple fact that he's gonna have a lot of armor ups, I do believe there's going to be a lot of counters, largely in Mystic class. Like there's going to be the Magics, there's going to be Morning Stars, there's going to be even Mordos level 2s, or even Ronan with Stunlock, and anything that has a lot of buffs typically has some good counters. So I do think that even though he might be annoying under certain conditions, there will be plenty of ways around him, so it's not kind of like the most tragic thing to deal with, I suppose. But yeah, so I did a couple of test fights. I definitely will do a more in-depth test video and do a full review on him, but he does looks like somebody that potentially might be worth playing with. Now there is another thing that is definitely going to be going for this guy, and that is the simple fact that he currently, as of right now, is the only 2015 mutant champion in game that does not suck. And that will simply mean that he's going to be the pretty much sole receiver of vast majority of 2015 mutant rank up gems from this point forward, or when everybody saved them up like I did, and this is like how he got taken to rank 4. So he will be one of those champions that's kind of being favored by the circumstance of the items in game, and yeah, so I do believe that we're going to see a lot of rank 4 Colossuses now. And the last most important bit about Colossus when it comes to progressing players is 615 Crossbones, right? 615 Crossbones has been a roadblock to many people to become Cavalier, largely because they don't have strong damage dealing bleed immune champion. Well, guess what? Colossus is bleed immune, right? Colossus also is easily accessible, being one of the oldest champions in the game. I'm sure that pretty much vast majority of players have him, at least vast majority of the players who could potentially push for being Cavalier. And yeah, so I believe he will finally be an answer everybody has been looking for or waiting for, popping crystals open, getting those bleed immune champions, and turns out that now you have one in your roster, because he's bleed immune. He has definitely the damage potential to outdamage that vigor on the crossbones, and yeah, the fact that pretty much everybody has him. So I think that is who a lot of people will be able to use now in order to get past that crossbones. Probably within the next day or so I'm gonna try and get to that fight to also actually test it out myself and see if it's doable and what do I think about that fight, and I'll post it up on my channel as well shortly. So yeah, to sum it up, I'm fairly happy with Colossus. He's nothing I'm particularly in love with, but I can appreciate his utilities, his immunities, damage output, simplistic playstyle. Now I do think it's a serious minus for any champion to be as reliant to parry heavy. I typically do not like champions like that. I'm not a big fan of that playstyle, but I think it kind of fits, and I do think that he will do well enough. He's nobody I would personally be in kind of any rush to rank 5, but I think he's going to serve a purpose in game. I think there are quite a lot of interesting stuff that's happening with him, and yeah, if not the best champion, he's definitely not the worst. He's solid good champion now, which is what these reworks are probably meant to be. However, we do have another rework, and oh boy, this one this one makes me wonder why did they bother, honestly. Like, so let's find that old Man Logan and check him out. So I also did his comparison video. His damage is slightly improved, let's say about 30% higher than it used to be, but that doesn't say much because he used to hit like a wet noodle. So slight damage increase. Once again, I do generally believe he is under the mediocre line when it comes to damage dealers. He's definitely nothing on that kind of upper echelon. He's somewhere in the middle. As I showcased in my video, he can easily get out damaged by X23 at the same rank. So X23 being known as a champion that has decent good damage and decent good heal. Both of these things X23 has better than Old Man Logan now, which is quite silly. Honestly, if I were Kabam, I would just issue a statement of apology and go back to the drawing board, because this champion is bad. Like, there's not too much to say about Old Man Logan. There is pretty much no utility. The only utility he has that he's kind of pretty much a bleed immune champion now, to a degree. Other than that, there is nothing really. Okay, he's immune to ability accuracy changes, but he has no abilities to kind of like capitalize on, really. The base idea is he seems to be built as like this damage character with like all of these furies, critical bleeds and stuff like that, but those furies are tiny. They hardly do anything at all. Also, in addition to being very small, they do not last long enough. And yeah, as I showed in my kind of like Realm of Legends Winter Soldier fight, it still took me like 240 hits or something close to that to take down him. And the problem with those furies was that yeah, they just expired. They didn't last from level 2 to level 2. The passive bleed mechanic was working fine. I could accumulate the furies fast enough. Like, I mean, I can accumulate the bleeds fast enough to always have some decent amount to be converted into these passive furies. Sorry, into these furies. But they just didn't last long enough. And then there seemed to be like the situation where there's no kind of like win scenario, because he has an ability on heavy attacks to refresh the passive bleeds and pause the fury boss for 2 seconds. And I think this is like one of the biggest problems with the character, because 2 seconds is nowhere near enough for it to be worth it to parry opponent, drop a heavy attack, and then pretty much guaranteed being forced to bait out a special attack and then try and parry him again to drop another heavy attack. By that time, like, your furies will almost have expired. And in my experience, I did less damage trying to use this heavy mechanic than simply kind of trying to be as aggressive as I can while the furies lasted. And yeah, it just feels like, you can't say a rushed rework, because they took their time, but it's definitely a failed one, because he hardly does any more damage than he used to, and he arguably has less utility, and regen is pretty much worse off as well. On paper, regen technically can be a slight bit better than it used to be, but every time you activate a special attack, you kind of eat up your regen, and yeah, so it's just not working out. Whatever they were trying to do with this champion, and it seems that they were trying to make kind of like this aggressive bleed fury champion, they completely missed the mark. If they wanted to make him this crazy good aggressive champion with not too much of utility, kind of like a Carnage, let's say Carnage is an absolute success in my opinion, this is an absolute fail. Like, I'm not saying Carnage is the best champion in the game, but I'm saying that his damage output is good, he's really fun to play, and he gets the job done. Now, this guy, damage output is medium at best, he's nowhere near as fun to play, and yeah, that's about it, and he has no utility. So there's that. My honest recommendation is do not rank this guy. I know we all wanted him to be good, but he isn't, unfortunately. Again, on top of not having any utility, he has extreme reliance to bleed. He also has extreme kind of reliance on aggressive playstyle, much more so than, let's say, somebody like Massacre, because Massacre also encourages aggressive playstyle, but he can deal fine like when opponent isn't as kind of like quick or active. But this guy, basically, when you throw your special attack, you gain these furies. And you want to be as aggressive because A, you want to get that extra damage from having these furies active, which is nowhere near enough, if I may add, because those furies hardly do anything, but still. And then at the same point, yeah, so you throw a special attack, you want to be extra aggressive, A, to get the extra damage from these furies, and B, to push yourself up to another special 2 in order to be able to drop the next level 2 just after your furies expire. And these furies do not last long enough. That mechanic with heavy attack that got nerfed in beta, by the way, like, I mean, with that update, because his heavy attack got slowed down. But anyways, yeah, that's not long enough. Those 2 seconds are not worth to even try it, really. And yeah, it just has no utility, really. Hardly any immunities, kind of like semi-bleed immunity, and magic or damage. So I honestly do not really have anything great to say about this guy. Okay, if I have to force myself, then a synergy with Colossus is quite cool. That lets you start with a bar of power, and additionally, I think in his signature ability, Logan's first special attack feature gains additional attack rating. So for like some really casual questing where you can go a combo into a special attack straight away, it might be worth it, but no, honestly, he's bad. He's bad champion. It's not worth ranking. If you have 2016 and 2015 mutant rank up gem, use them Colossus. Definitely don't waste any time with this guy. Yeah, I honestly don't know why that took so much time with these updates, because they hardly changed anything, and arguably they made Old Man Logan even worse, because I generally think that he hasn't changed too much. Region's worse, and now you enjoy playing with him less than you used to, just because you always feel rushed to refresh these bleeds, to get to the special, to do the damage while the Furies are on. And that's kind of like very annoying type of thing to do, to be able, because you always feel like you're running out of time. Versus before, he always had that passive heal, so that was something that like was somewhat enjoyable. And you just enjoyed these bursts of damage whenever, as and when they came. Obviously, I'm not saying Old Man Logan is worse now, but he's probably less fun. And he's not much better than he used to be, definitely. So this, in my book, is complete fail. Should come with a letter of apology from Kabam, and in my opinion, I'd strongly advise them to take this back to the drawing board, rejiggle the numbers, increase the length of the Furies, increase the length that heavy attack can pause the Furies for, increase the potency of Furies, and give him something else, because utility-wise, 0, damage-wise, Medicore, enjoyability to play, meh. Yeah, honestly, I think there are many champions in need of a rework who are better pre-rework than he is post-rework. Anyways, I think that will pretty much do for today's video. So Colossus, A-okay, he will do just fine. Old Man Logan, absolute dog shit. He will not do fine. Do not bother with him. Go to the next champion. And yeah, anyways, let me know what you guys think. That will do for me today. But yeah, leave a comment. Tell me what you think about Colossus. Tell me what you think about Old Man Logan. And what do you think could be done to improve this guy, I guess. But yeah, that will do for today. See ya.